We are on the second installment on meaningful prayer. So very interesting over here. Going through the Siddur. Last week we looked at Modani. Then we looked at Ma Tovu. We looked at various other verses that we say in the morning. We looked at Elokai Neshama Shenatata Bi. We looked at Asher Yatzar. One thing I left out was Netilat Yadayim. Very interesting. Washing the hands in the morning. So in Judaism, there are, I think, 5 instances where you have to wash your hands. Number 1, when you wake up in the morning. Number 2, before you eat bread. Number 3, after the use of the bathroom. Number 4, if you visit the cemetery. Number 5, if you have a haircut. Wait, I can think of more now. Number 6, if you cut your nails. And number 7, I said 5, but they're actually 7 that I remember. Number 7 is this, we don't do this anymore, but if you let blood. In the old days, they used to drill a hole in their head and get the blood out. Apparently, that made them feel a lot better. But all those things, it was like donating, bloodletting. If you do any of those 7 things, you have to vas afterwards. Now, how do you vas? So they're all different. After the bathroom, you just have to wash your hands. That's what most hygienic, normal people do. Waking up in the morning, you can't do, it's not enough to wash your hands. You have to take a cup. You have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But you don't do that for anything else. That's for waking up in the morning. Eating bread. So I'm sure you've seen people do 1, 1, 1, 1. So you don't have to, halachically, if you put enough on one hand, which is enough is a lug, which is about a revit lug is a quarter of a lug is 88 milliliters times 4. So you're looking at 320 milliliters per hand. Then you only need 1 wash on each. And those Negelvassing cups that you can buy, I think they're a 500 or a liter. They can hold a liter. So if you do half and half, you're covered for bread. So all those things are different. Cutting nails, you just wash 1, 1. All those things are different reasons. The which one? Cemetery. I forgot that one. That's number 8. After you visit the cemetery, you've also got to wash your hands. All those things have different reasons. Some of the reasons is for cleanliness. Some of the reasons are for ruach ro'o, a bad spirit. And I don't believe in bad spirits. I think the rabbis were teaching us about bacteria. And if you haven't seen the thing, how do you teach people in 1,000 years ago that there are these little chochos that can kill you? There's something called a virus or bacteria, which is invisible, but it's so powerful that it can kill a person. No one would have believed you. So they called it ruach ra'ah, a bad spirit. But really, they were talking about viruses and bacteria. So the rabbis were right. In the morning, you wake up, you clean your hands because you don't know where your hands have been all night. You don't know what you've been touching. So it's better to get rid of the bacteria when you wake up in the morning. And for years, Jewish people have always maintained a very high level of hygiene because of these basic halachas. And then you say the brocha al netilat yadayim, but then for the rest of the day, you don't make that brocha again unless you're eating bread. Then you say it again. But once in the morning suffices for the bathroom, for waking up. It covers you completely. Then we move on to the brochas that are made for learning Torah. So the first one is Asher kirishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. You're praising Hashem to give us the opportunity to delve into Torah, not just to learn. The word there is la'asok, osek, to busy yourself with Torah. And then we make a second bracha, which is connected to the first, and we're asking Hashem, V'ha'arevna Hashem Elokeinu et divrei Toratecha, please Hashem, make the Torah sweet in my mouth and in the mouths of all the Jewish people, and may us and our children and our children's children, everybody, learn your Torah, know your name, and learn Torah for the right reasons. Baruch atah Hashem, Hamalamei Torah la'amo Yisrael. Blessed are you, Hashem, who teaches Torah to the Jewish people. So that's a very beautiful brocha where you're asking that Torah should not be boring, that Torah should be sweet in your mouth. And then we make a second bracha, and this is the bracha we make when we called up to an aliyah. Asher b'chabanu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et torato, baruch atah Hashem notein Torah. You chose us from among the nations of the world. You gave us your Torah. He gave us his Torah, third person. And then we go second person. Blessed are you, Hashem, the giver of the Torah. And we'll see later on, all brachas have to have an action related and connected to them, either an action by sight, by smell, by sound, by eating, by drinking. It has to have an action. So where's the action once you've said the brachas of Torah? What action are you doing? You need to learn some Torah. So in every Siddur, it's printed over here. You got 3 paragraphs. You've got Yevarechecha, Elu, and Elu. So what's happening in Article over here, the first one, Yevarechecha, is a verse from the Torah. Then you have Elu, is a Mishnah from the time of the sages. And then you have Elu Devarim, that's a Gemara from the time of the later sages. So this is the minimal amount of Torah learning that a person should do in the day. 1 pasuk, 1 Mishnah, 1 Gemara, and you've at least haven't made the bracha in vain. You've done an activity, you've done an action based on the bracha that you've recited. And just very quickly, the first one is the priestly blessing. As our Kohen knows, may Hashem bless you and safeguard you. May Hashem illuminate his countenance to you and be gracious to you. May Hashem illuminate his countenance and bring you peace. Then the second one is a Mishnah. The Mishnah says these are the things that don't have any limit. If you do them in Jewish law, the payah, leaving the corner of your field. So here's a corner. If, say, this table was your field, so here's a corner, here's a corner, here's a corner, here's a corner, and as we say in Zulu, I corner, because it can be any size, the corner. So there's no limit. You can, if you gave this little corner of your field to the poor, you've done the mitzvah. You give her that much, you've done the mitzvah. You give that much, you've done the mitzvah. There's no limitation. Any amount is a corner. Then we say also the ra'ayon, bikurim, the first fruits. How many first fruits must you give to the Kohen? Any amount. How do you know that it's a first fruit? So the farmer goes out to his trees. As he sees the first ones budding, he ties a little, in Aramaic, it's called a gemi. A gemi. I don't know what that is. Elastic. That's what gumi today in Hebrew. It's a gumi, yeah? But it's a gemi, so I don't know what that is. But a little ribbon, they would tie it, and then they would wait. And as the fruits blossomed and then became fruits, they would see that thing tied, and they knew that was the first fruit. And they would take that and give it to the Kohen. So you could give 1 peach, and if you have an orchard of hundreds of thousands of peaches, you can give 1,000 peaches. There's no limitation. The next one is the Rayon. The Rayon is the pilgrimage sacrifices that were brought every Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot. You had to go 3 times a year to Jerusalem with your pilgrimage. So that also had no limit as how many bulls and sheep you could bring, any amount. Gemilut Chasadim, kindness to others, and Talmud Torah, the learning of Torah. There's no limit. I mean, I think your limit is 24 hours a day, but there's no limit to the amount of Torah that you can earn. But there's no, the limit down is these three chapters. It fills up 1 page. The brochas, the 3 brochas, and the 3 paragraphs that you say. And then the Gemara elaborates on this, and that is the job of Gemara, to elaborate on the Mishnah. And this Gemara is connected, but not really on that Gemara. And then it says, these are the things that you can eat their fruits in this world, and it doesn't detract from your capital, which you've already accumulated in the world to come. So that's very important, because in Judaism, we believe that if good things happen to you in this world, it might be Hashem paying you out from your reward in the world to come. So we don't want that to happen. When I was a youngster, I used to go to the casino. And my little prayer was, before I pushed the button, the one-arm bandit. I used to play that. I like that one. But now it's just a button. So I used to make a little tefillah to Hashem. I used to say, Hashem, let me win big, because the number's on the top there. 7 million rand. I say, Hashem, let me win big, but don't take it out of my reward in Olam Haba. Nothing. Then I'd say it again. Same laws. Hashem, same deal. Nothing. 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 I should have said, no, God forbid. Okay, that's it. So if good things happen, you might be getting your reward. You might. So we don't want that to happen. By the way, the converse of that is, if bad things happen to you in this world and you acknowledge them, you can say in Yiddish, Zolzana kapora. It should be a kapora. It should take away from our suffering in the next world. And listen to this. The Gemara says, what type of suffering are we talking about that you can use against your suffering in Gehinnom, in the afterworld? If you put your hand, this is the Gemara, if you put your hand in your pocket to take out 1 rand and you took out 10 cents, and now you have to do that whole activity, that whole exercise again, that is pain and suffering. And that you can take off your punishment in the world to come. How's that? So can you imagine? I mean, we know suffering. We know people who are really going through terrible, terrible times. Can you imagine how that is cleansing them from their suffering in the world to come? You don't know the story. A.B. Cohen dies. And he goes up to heaven and he sees a big scale. And he goes, no, what's that? And they say, no, we're going to look at your whole life. And we're going to see if you're going to hell or heaven. So he goes, all right, he's waiting, he's watching. And they put all his good deeds on the scale. They put all his sins on the scale. Boom, goes right down. He goes, oy vey, now I'm in trouble. I'm going to hell. Hashem says, don't worry, we're going to now take all your good deeds. They put it on the scale. And it starts evening. No, not enough. That's it. All his good deeds, a whole lifetime, 80 years. That's all it did. So he's panicking. He's starting to schwitz, but he doesn't have a body. So how does a soul schwitz? It can manage. And then Hashem says, no, don't worry, Abi. We're going to put all your tzoros. You had a lot of tzoros. We're going to put that on the scale as well. And Hashem starts putting the tzoros on, and the tzoros, and the tzoros. And this poor Abi Cohen, he had a terrible life. And it's going, and it's going, and it's going, and it's going, and it's going. Or maybe he's not going to go to hell. And then it just doesn't even out. So he says, oh, Hashem, couldn't you give me more tzoros? Couldn't you give me more tzoros in my life? So that's what we believe as Jews. When we suffer here, it's taking away from there. When things go good over here, you got to be careful. You got to be scared, maybe. It's taking away. But there's a list over here of things that you can enjoy in this world, and it doesn't take away from the capital amount that you have saved in Olam Haba. So if you get busy with these things and life is good, don't worry about it. It's, I think in Zulu, it's pasela. It's just extra. Nothing gets taken away from you. So let's go through them very quickly. These are the precepts whose fruits a person enjoys in this world, but whose principle remains intact for him in the world to come. They are the honor that one gives to his father and his mother. So you can honor your parents and you won't lose reward. You'll get reward in this world. Acts of kindness, gemilut chesed. Early attendance to the shul, shachrit, and so when you go to shul early, that one doesn't take off. There you can enjoy the rewards from that one. Hospitality to guests, there also enjoy it, won't take away. Visiting the sick, you'll get rewarded and it won't take away from your profit. Providing for a bride, there are a lot of poor brides and grooms out there that need, it's called Hachnosas Kala. There are a lot of Hachnosas Kala funds that help brides who need the money, don't want to have a smaller wedding than their friends, don't want to be embarrassed, so there are funds that help them. Escorting the dead, going to a funeral, throwing the sand on, sitting with the body, all those doing tahara, big mitzvahs, and you can enjoy them in this world as well. Absorption in prayer, studying prayer, that's what we're doing over here. Iyun tefillah in the Hebrew, studying the prayers that you say. And next one, bringing peace between man and his fellow. That's, trying to make sholem in the world. And the study of Torah is equivalent to them all. Also, the study of Torah. You can ask Hashem for some reward, but don't take away from your olam haba. Just one more issue here before we move on. This idea of Asher bachabanu mikol ha'amim, that's quite a, if not understood properly, can be misconstrued as quite a racist, elitist statement. Hashem, you have chosen us from all the other nations. What do Jews say? We're the chosen nation. So isn't that a bit elitist, a bit racist to say such a thing? So how do we explain that one? There was a anti-Semite, can't remember which one. There's so many. And he said, how odd of God to choose the Jews. So someone replied, not so odd, the Jews chose God. So chosen doesn't mean that Hashem chose us. It means we've chosen Hashem. And as we know, anyone can join. If we were elitist, we would say no one can join us. We're an elite bunch. But the fact that Judaism is open to conversion and that concept means that, yes, you have to choose it. You have to choose Hashem. That's why we call the chosen nation. And anyone who wants to choose Hashem can join it. From another perspective, this Rabbi Palvanov, Ephraim Palvanov, he said that he's been writing for the last 13 years a blog. And the blog is called The Jew of the Week. And he has over 600 Jews that have contributed to society on an unbelievable level, but everywhere, in every walk of life, not only Torah, in medicine, in just anything you can think of. If you look at the Nobel Prizes per capita, the amount of Jews that have won Nobel Prizes compared to any other religion, it's because we want to be chosen. We want to help the world. We believe that we're here. Even a non-religious person, they believe that they're here for a purpose. They're here to do something for the world, not just to leech off the world. And this is in our DNA. This is part of our structure, that we believe that we have a divine calling, religious, not religious, even not believing in God. They also believe they have a divine and a calling. And the most irreligious, atheistic scientist who's a Jew will do something for the planet, will do something for the world as well. The internet, one of the creators was a Jew. Cell phones, Intel, Israeli company. These are the big ones. Pfizer, who made the vaccines for COVID. They saw a need, they made vaccines. But you can look, this Rabbi Palvanov has this blog, at least 600 famous Yidden. The one thing we're not so famous in is Jews in sports. That you won't see a lot of names over there. But they are even there, even in the sporting community, Jews have made a noise. So there is Asher b'chabanu mikol ha'amim, very good. Mark Spitz, there's the one, is the rower. Saw his face there on the paper. Sean. Yes. There's one or two chess. There's one or two chess places. A surfer. The rugby guy. Stransky. Won the World Cup, yeah. Anyway, so in all walks of life, we feel a calling. We feel that we have to do something. There we go. There we go. All right, page 18. Now we start with the morning bruchas. Asher kirishanu, Asher natan lasech vivina la'afrin ben yom uvein laila. So now the translation of that word sechvi is a very weird word. Some translate it as a rooster, and some translate it as the heart. ArtScroll says here that Hashem, you gave the heart understanding to distinguish between day and night. But we're also praising Hashem that we woke up and He gave wisdom to the rooster to know the difference and crow in the morning, which is the alarm clock, so that we can get up and start our day. And that's really what Judaism is about. Not sleeping through the day, getting up, doing something for Hashem, and then going back to sleep and rinse and repeat the next day. That was the whole point. I'm going to skip the next three. You never made me a goy, you never made me a slave, you never made me a woman, because that's very interesting. We need to unpack those because they seem very racist and sexist and again elitist. So we need to understand those, but I want a bit of time to do it, and I don't want to run out of time in the middle of it. And then women have their own special brocha that you made me according to your will. So that's very beautiful stuff on that. If we don't do it tonight, we'll do it in 2 weeks' time. We'll get through it. But let's go through. Pokeach Ivrim, we're thanking Hashem for our sight. You open your eyes and you can see. That's a brocha. That's a real brocha. In my previous community, someone was suffering with COVID so badly that they put him on a ventilator. And he said, we take breathing for granted. But when you're on a ventilator, you really appreciate just the ability to breathe, the ability to see. We take it for granted because we open our eyes and it works. But the question is, does a blind person say this bracha? Interesting. So the answer is yes, because even blind people benefit from sight, whether it's a dog that can see, or other people that can hold his hand and get him across the road. So he is benefiting from the concept of sight, and therefore he can make this bracha as well. Malbisha rumim, you clothe the naked. We take clothes for granted. In the old days, I think a person had one shirt, and that was his Shabbos shirt or whatever, and maybe one for working. Today, the amount of waste and the amount of clothing that people have there, I saw statistics. I think how many clothes people have, that the world's never heard of such a thing. The amount of waste and that we have today. Matir asurim. So what does that mean? Hashem, you release the imprisoned. What does it say? You release the bound. So that's when you stretch, by the way, because you're now releasing all your kvetched up muscles and sinews. You can have a good stretch. That's matir asurim. Then zokaif kufufim, you straighten the bent. That's also part of it. Rokah haaretz alamayim. This is a very strange one. That you have spread out the earth upon the waters. So that you mean to say as you put your feet on the floor, on the ground. Because even Judaism believes that the planet, and so does science, the planet was at one point just a ball of water. And then the earth was spread over the water. But if you think about it, just think about it, is the earth over the water or is the water over the earth? Because the earth, is the earth over the water or is the water over the earth? Isn't it wrong? Isn't it the wrong way around, this verse, this brocha? So that worried me a lot, because if you look at the structure of an island, for example, the island is under the sea, and then a little bit of it pops out. And continents as well. They go under the sea, and then they pop out, and that's land. So why does it say Rokah haaretz alamayim? So listen, Rabbi Pelvanov did a bit of a study into this, and he said, very interestingly, that they dug down into the mantle. No one's ever got that deep, by the way, because the crust of the earth is 16 kilometers. I think the deepest they got in Russia after years and years of digging was about 12 kilometers down. And then the drill bits start melting. They can't get lower than 12 kilometers. And the crust is 16 kilometers, but they discovered something, I don't know how, but the mantle has 3 times more water than the entire planet has. So actually the crust is on a liquidy substance. And that's why this brocha makes sense. Rokah haaretz alamayim. It's not talking about the mayim being the seawater. It's talking about the mayim in the mantle, which is a big chunk of the interior of the planet. And then what Jesse was saying, right, we also believe there was a supercontinent called Pangaea. And then throughout the ages, because of continental drift, the continents are moving away from each other and into each other. In fact, they say the country of India is moving into Asia a whole lot. That as it pushes into Asia, Mount Everest gets higher, that it grows 1 inch every year. Mount Everest is growing 1 inch every year. So it's moving all the time, and that's because of the liquidy substance that's under the crust that's helping the continents move around. So the rabbis, even before continental drift was popular, the rabbis were speaking about it, and they made a brocha out of it. So again, all these brochas have to accommodate with an action. So the Gemara actually says that as you wake up and you open your eyes, you say the first brocha. You made the blind people can see, and etc. When you stretch, you make a brocha. When you touch the ground, the next one is Sha'asali kol tzorki. You made for me all my needs. So that is specifically to wearing shoes. As you put your shoes on, you make that brocha. I love that one. Hashem, you plan out the footsteps of man. Before you think you know where you're going today. You think you know which highway. Are you going to take the M5 or you're going to take the M3? You don't know, but Hashem's already planned your journey for you. I love that brocha. Because you think you know, but you don't really know, and you never know what's going to happen that day. Ozeh Yisrael Big Vura, that's putting on a belt in the morning. The Hasidim actually put on a gartel, an extra black belt on top of their clothing. That's to separate between the impure part and the pure part of the person. And then Oter Yisrael B'tifara is we wear a crown, which is our tefillin. So these are also all interesting. But today we don't say them while we're doing the action, because remember, you haven't washed your hands yet if you're lying in bed. And you're not allowed to say Hashem's name. That's why we learned it last time that Modeh Ani doesn't have Hashem's name, because you haven't washed your hands. You're not clean enough. So therefore today we just say this all in the Siddur. We follow the order, but we should remember that we're covering everything. Why? Because the job of a Jew is, a Yehudi, is to be hodaya, to give gratitude to Hashem. So we literally thanking Hashem for every step that we take, for everything. We're not taking anything for granted. And then Baruch Atah Hashem, the last one, Hanotein la'aya'ef koach, you gave strength to the weary, because we finally woke up in the morning. And then we say a very beautiful Yehi Ratzon, as we remove the sleep from our eyes, we're asking Hashem that we should be well-versed in your Torah, we should stick to your mitzvot, you shouldn't bring us to any sin, to any form of sin, chait, aveira, nisayon. Don't test me today, Hashem. Don't embarrass me today, Hashem. Don't let my yetzer hara, my evil inclination, rule over me. Keep me away from bad friends, bad people. Let me stick to my good inclination. Let me stick to good deeds. It's quite a beautiful prayer that we say there after the davening. Okay, it is late, but if you just bear with me for a few more minutes, I just want to cover those first three brochas. Why do we say, thank you, Hashem, for not making me a goy, not making me an eved, not making me an isha, not making me a slave, not making me a woman? So firstly, the word goy is not a derogatory word. I know people use it derogatively, but it just means a nation, nations of the world. And in fact, the Jews are called goy echad ba'aretz, one nation in the world, or goy kadosh, a holy nation. So the word goy means a nation. But I heard a very nice vort on this, and that is, why did we wake up in the morning? We woke up in the morning to do the will of Hashem. So there are people that have less things to do rather than more things to do. A Jew has the most amount of mitzvot to do. A goy, a non-Jew, has less mitzvot. He's only got 7 mitzvot to do. A slave has a little bit more than a non-Jew, and a woman has a little bit more than a slave. So really, these brachas are very specific. In context, we're saying to Hashem, thank you for not making me someone who has less mitzvot. I'm happy to do your will. I'm happy to wake up and do as much as I can for you. I'm not trying to shirk my responsibility. And that's what they are. So you go through these three and you say, I want more mitzvahs. I want more responsibility. I'm not trying to shirk my responsibility. And in fact, not that this is any proof, but Socrates, I wouldn't have known this, but Rabbi Palvanov says it. Socrates had a blessing that he said in the morning, and it went like this: grateful am I being born human, not brute, a man, not a woman, Greek, and not a barbarian. So it's interesting that he also chose those three things. And the rabbis also had, Socrates lived at the time of the last prophets. So we're talking a very long time ago that he said something that's very similar to our broch as well. And Ruth, the famous convert, she had 7 mitzvot because she was a non-Jew, and then she wanted another 606 mitzvot. And in fact, the gematria of the name Ruth, Reish is 200, Vav is 6, so that's 206, and Taf is 400, that's 606. So her very name shows that's all she wanted in life. She wasn't happy with the 7 mitzvot. She wanted another 606 mitzvot, and that's why she converted to Judaism, because she wanted more. She wanted more stuff. Unfortunately, though, there are a lot of Jews today. Rabbi Frand says Jews like to be gedavent and parav. What does that mean? Gedavent means the worst thing is when you get home at night and you go, oi, you're in pajamas, you're lying on your bed and you go, oh no, I forgot to daven ma'ariv. The best is to be gedavent, which means I've done all my davening. I can watch Netflix now. That's terrible. And parav means, I can have a cup of coffee now. I'm not fleishik anymore. But that's not the right attitude, to be gedavent and parav. The right attitude is, Hashem, give me more, give me more. And that's what we say every morning. I could be all these other things, but you made me a Jew. That means I have a lot of responsibility. I would like to do this. I would like to do this for you. And then the one for women, that you didn't make me a woman. Yes, women have less mitzvot than men. Actually, they've only got 3 mitzvot less than men. Brit Milah, well, that's just because there's no way they can do that. Tefillin and tzitzit. But every other mitzvah that a man does, women actually do it today. Lulav, even though it's a time-bound positive mitzvah, women do lulav. Shofar, women listen to shofar. Sukkah, they don't have to, but women have adopted and have taken on all the mitzvot that men do, except for those 3. We're talking Orthodox, obviously. There are Reform women who put on Brit Milah, circumcision. That one they can't, they're just not able to do that one. But really they have that. And the reason for that is because Judaism believes that a woman is more refined than a man on a spiritual level. And if you don't believe it, look at the crime statistics. How many crimes are committed by women vis-a-vis men? Men are much more barbaric and brutish than women are. You can see even from a sociological, you don't need religion. Women are more refined than men. And when Hashem created Eve, it says, Vayiven et hatzela leisha. He built the rib or the side into a woman. And the word vayiven, if you change the letters, is bina, that women have been endowed with a much higher level of understanding that men have. So we already see they've got a higher and a more spiritual neshama already on the level of bina, which men have to aspire to. Men have to grow into that level where women already have it. So they naturally don't have to do the same mitzvot that men have to do, because they're already on an elevated plane, on a higher level. And if you don't believe me, Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan wrote a book on tefillin. I could be misquoting here exactly, but women don't have to put on tefillin because their very makeup, their womb, the umbilical cord, all that are their natural tefillin. So women are wearing tefillin in their body already. Men don't have that. So when we wake up in the morning, we've got to put a womb on our head, and we've got to put the umbilical cord down our sides, because we don't have that. We weren't made with it naturally. So in order to at least get up to the level of a woman, a man has to put on tefillin just to get up to that level, to be like a woman. So we're thanking Hashem for the opportunity to do more mitzvot and to try and get closer to him. And by the way, there are old Sidurim that were printed in the 1400s that the language was there, not She'asani kirtzono, that you made me according to your will. That actually says She'asatani isha velo ish. Thank you, Hashem, for making me a woman and not a man. And for some reason, from the 1400s till the 2000s, it got changed, and now women have a different brocha. But in old Sidurim that you can find in all these old museums, it actually says that you made me a woman and not a man. But interestingly, it's not sexist, it's not racist. We're trying to say over here is, Hashem, thank you for waking me up. Thank you for giving me my neshama. I'm ready to serve you. I'm ready to do what you want me to do. I'm not trying to shirk my responsibility. So that is a very nice way of looking at it. Please God, in 2 weeks' time, we'll just do it on Zoom. You don't have to come to shul. I think it makes more sense that everyone can just do it in the comfort of their homes. And we'll carry on, please God, with the korbanot and see more as we move through the Siddur and learn more and more about davening. And don't forget, learning about davening is one of those things that you get reward for in this world, and you can enjoy yourself in the world to come as well. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Laila Tov lekulam. I will post this, or Gavin, I should say, will post it at a later stage. Sorry, there are some messages.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thanks, Ru. Sound has come back on. You didn't mention the cemetery. We did. Thanks, Alfonso. Thanks, guys. Laila Tov. Sleep well.